Cookie Life Network. I'm Beth, and be sure to follow the Cookie Life Network on Instagram to keep up with everything going on in the cookie community. This week, I get to sit down with Megan Warne. What a hoot. I can't wait for you to see it. But before we get to that, let's get to the best of the zest. Okay, guys. So this week's Best of the Zest is going to look just a little different. Because I wanted to share with you something that I've just recently found myself. And so by no means am I a pro at this. But I wanted to share it with you because it has helped me tremendously just in a matter of, I think I've been using it for 2.5 weeks now. Um, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So, because trying to keep up with social media, you know, you got to be on TikTok, got to be on Facebook, got to be on Instagram. Who doesn't want to be on YouTube? I mean, it's a lot, and it's a full-time job just trying to keep up with content to put on these different platforms. So I have recently started scheduling my post and my stories. And so I'm going to share with you what I've learned. And again, remember, I'm not an expert. I will show you what I've learned. But for the most part, it has literally been me getting in there, spending hours playing around with it, and then scheduling it. And y'all, it has saved me so much time. And I feel like I've gotten a little bit of my life back. So I'm going to show you how what I've learned. Okay, so go to your Facebook on your computer, and on the left-hand side over here, it says See More. You're going to drop that down and go all the way down to Meta Business Suite. Okay, click on Meta Business Suite. So this takes us to, and I had to set mine up, so you'll have to set yours up as well. But I have merged the Facebook and Instagram accounts for Cookie Life and for the Vanillin. So I can toggle between the two. I want to show you the Cookie Life one right now, though. Okay. So I've got to-do list. You can create a story, create an ad, create a post. This just gives you kind of an overview of what's going on in your, on your page, your analytics and all that good stuff. So over here on the left-hand side, if you go to post and stories, what you're going to do is you're going to come in here, and then in kind of like a feed form, it will show you what's been done this month. But if you're going to create a post, let's just pretend like we're going to create a post. So up here, if you want this post to be on both platforms, Facebook and Instagram, you need to check both. Obviously, if you want to put up a picture, you're going to put up a picture, your location, add a link, all that good stuff. So if you're going to schedule it for later, you're just going to click the schedule button. And down here, and it's for Facebook and Instagram, you have to do for both. But it has an optimal time, so it will show you the best times for each platform that you're, for your audience. And then it'll give you a preview over here. You can add hashtags, all that good stuff. If you type in this box, it will like, hey guys, it will give you for both Facebook and Instagram. That way you don't have to do two different feeds. And it shows you preview for what it will look like on your phone, what it will look like on your desktop. And then over here under planner, it's going to show me my monthly view. This is on a week, but I can change it to a monthly view so that I can just kind of see what I've got going on for the whole month and where I need to add posts and stories. So over here on the right-hand side, it's going to show me every holiday that's coming up for the month of June, right? And so you can choose to post something or not. So we've got, coming up on Friday, we've got World National Donut Day and World Bicycle Day. And I've got a lot going on that day. I've got 6 different posts. I've got a photo story, 2 for Facebook, 2 for Instagram, and then a post for each. Oh no, that's a story. So let's look at the story that I've got for Instagram on Donut Day. We're going to cancel that. So this is my overview. So this is what will go up on National Donut Day, which will be Friday. Anyway, and like I said, it's just taken time to come in here, figure out what you're going to post and when. Like over here, I went through and obviously I didn't, I think there was an International Joke Day. Yeah, and that's July. That's next month. But like, I'm not posting for that. But I did want to post for, let's say I did National Donut Day, World Environment Day, Flag Day, International Picnic Day, Father's Day, Juneteenth, and the first day of summer solstice. Anyway, so I hope this helps. Y'all let me know if you have any questions. I hope I haven't just totally confused you, but I love this and I think it's absolutely great and I think it can help all of you. Also, and what I'm going to talk about next time is, let's go back here to the National Donut Day. So I'm going to show you, I created all of these, this artwork for all of my posts and my stories, and literally takes no time. So I'll show you the next Best of the Zest next week, how I, what I use and how I do that. Thanks, guys. So today we have former architect who turned her side hustle into a full-time business. She has taught hundreds of cookie classes, and thousands of cookiers. She loves kitty cats, a wine, and a bold red lip. Y'all help me welcome Megan Warne with Downtown Dough to You.
Hi.
Hey, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Problem.
Yeah. So, first question that I want to know is for those people that are watching, because everybody knows who you are, obviously, but for those cookiers that are new, that are just starting out, tell everybody how you got started, how this whole architect, now I'm a cookier. Tell us the story, girl.
Oh my goodness. So I started, I think I decorated, well, I shouldn't even say I decorated my first cookie. I made my first sugar cookie for the purpose of not just me eating it. Probably like, I'm trying to do the quick math, like 15 years ago. Um,
Okay.
for a friend's bridal shower, I didn't want to pay for cookies. I'm
Of
sure
course.
everyone's been there. But I made that Williams Sonoma set where you like imprint
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like word into the cookie dough. So I did those for the bridal shower. They turned out great. Um, I graduated from that to just adding little royal icing dots
Oh, look at you.
as a border on the cookie. So I thought I was like this cookie extraordinaire and I could do
All
anything.
right.
And then for my niece's baptism, my sister asked me if I would do some favors. So I did some of the imprints and then I was like, oh, I can totally outline and fill a cookie. Like I'm a royalizing pro now. And so I decided I was going to flood crosses where,
Nice. The morning of.
yeah. Um, and I thought I knew what I was doing with consistencies. I didn't. And so
Mhm.
I outlined these things, I fill them. There's like icing pouring everywhere off of every corner. Like, why didn't I
Right.
choose a square to start with?
A circle. You went with the cross with all the yeah.
Yeah. So there's icing pouring everywhere. Yes, it was the morning of because dots dry fast.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So I went into this being like, sure, I'm going to be fine. Like, I'm going to do the morning of, I'll pack them up. Like an hour later, we'll be good to go. Obviously,
Hmm.
that didn't happen. I panicked. I was able to frantically add some dots onto the imprints that I made so that I still had those to take. And the crosses went in the garbage. So I learned my lesson. I was still just doing it like here and there. I was determined though that I was going to figure this out. So every holiday, every birthday, my like niece and nephews have gotten so many cookies in their life.
They
which they don't complain about.
love Auntie Megan.
Yeah, they do. I actually have some for my nephew here that I have to. I'm still doing it. Like I still, I'm
Right?
like, I owe you my
It's an
business.
ongoing
So you
gig,
guys
right?
still get cookies when you want cookies.
Nice.
Um, so then I remember I did it for like another friend's birthday, thinking, I'll give myself like 3 hours of dry time this time. So
You did it again?
did that work? No. So I showed up at the party with a tray of wet cookies. Thankfully, it was like a private event. I didn't have to like walk into a restaurant or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
Um, and then eventually, I figured out these things actually need to dry. Um, and then I don't know, I just kept practicing and doing my thing and just kind of playing with it. And then leading up to when we were getting married, so this would have been 2017.
Right.
I was in like a whole bunch of like the local wedding like trade groups and buy and sell groups, and there were so many cake decorators, florists, all kinds of people offering their services, but also offering their services for trade. And
Yeah.
we hadn't solidified some of our vendors yet. So I was like, oh, maybe this is an opportunity. So like sure enough, I was able to trade some cookies for like other services, and then
Right.
people wanted to buy them too. So that's kind of what
Nice.
started the business, and I was able to pay all of the tips for our wedding with cookie money, which
Not
I was just
cookie
like,
money.
what is this? This is insane. Um, so then I remember it was like after our wedding when we got back from our honeymoon, all of a sudden I was like, and I thought it was gonna like end there. I was like, yeah, I'll just keep doing it for fun, but I had no intention of
Right.
continuing to make
Right.
money
Because
off
you've
of
got a
this.
full-time job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a full-time job at that point.
Right.
And then I remember coming back from my honeymoon and just being like inundated with order requests. So I think that's when I started my Instagram. Or maybe, no, actually, I had started it before then, but that's when I started like actively
Yeah.
adding things and sharing designs and things like that. And then it just kind of took off from there. And I spent probably 2 years of mainly sleepless nights
Yep, been
as
there,
I was
done that.
building up orders and things like that. Started teaching some in-person workshops at that point, and then as my following grew, um, I got a ton of requests for virtual stuff, and I just like had not wrapped my head around that yet. But going into 2020, I was like, I got to
Yeah.
figure this out. How to Cake It and I had a conversation about trying to get something going, which made me feel better about it that I didn't have to like go into this blind on my own.
Right, right.
Um, but actually going into 2020 also, I was just like so burnt out. I had been traveling so much for my job and then
Right.
trying to fit in cookies, trying to fit in classes. And so I kind of went into it being like, we'll see how the virtual thing works, but I'm probably going to just like scale this back to just a hobby so that I could like focus on my career, focus on starting a family, and just like get back to doing it for fun. And we all know how that turned out.
I would say that how to cake it thing turned out okay.
Yeah,
That worked out. And I
worked.
mean, yeah, timing like everything
Yeah.
because yeah, the way you were able to just transition and leave your job, that's
Hmm.
great. That's
Yeah, I
great.
could not have asked for a better setup for that. And truthfully, I mean, like we had already had a conversation about it. Then like we revisited it
Yeah.
March, kind of when the pandemic was starting, and like we were seeing some lockdowns happening like in Asia, and looking at that, being like, that's nuts.
I can't believe
Imagine
that's
if we
going
had to
on.
do that. Um,
Right, right.
and then as soon as we realized we were like North America was going to be hit with this and going into some serious lockdown, we had like one frantic call where we're like, okay, what can we pull together? Like we pulled a class that I had done before so that I already had like a whole bunch of the assets done,
Right.
put it up and like we're like, we'll just try it. We'll do a couple like for this 2 week lockdown. So people have
Yeah.
things to do. And then hopefully like people enjoy it. Maybe we can do like another one here and there. And then like a month later, they're like, can you do one every week?
Give me all the cookie classes, right? And you're still
Yeah,
going strong. You've taught hundreds of classes. Like
it's crazy.
It is crazy, girl. I mean, and just the variety of things that you're able to do. Your background, your artistic background, and your architect and your lines, and I mean, so when you sit down to design a set, how does all that play in? Like, yeah, yeah,
I'd love to say that it's like a quick process where I just like sit down and it just all like flows out of me and I have this beautiful like set drawn in front of me.
right, right,
It doesn't happen that way.
right. No, no,
Um, I would say like it can take me like hours, and I'm also a perfectionist. And sometimes like cannot let go of like something not being exactly how I want it to be.
we
As
kind
much
of
as
see
like
that in your sets. We see that.
that's like not going to matter all that much to like a customer, whether that font is exactly perfect. Man, like I have had to set boundaries, like actual boundaries when it comes to fonts. Like when I'm going to go select a font, I'll set a timer and be like, you have 10 minutes. You have to make a decision after 10 minutes.
You have to make a decision. That's good though, because you can get lost down the rabbit hole and you're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea though.
Um,
That's a good
so yeah,
idea.
so usually when I'm designing, like if it's for an order, oftentimes, as you know, we'll be given some sort of theme or like an invitation,
Right.
something to kind of jump off from. So that's usually where I'll start, and then I'll pull together just some like different imagery from different places, and like I'll pull like random stuff together. It could be like a kid's like jungle birthday,
Yeah.
but I'll have like one image and be like, hey, that like color palette from like that interior design photo that I saved the other day would work really well like that with this. So I'll pull all of that together. And then once I have it all in one place, I start breaking down the cookie designs, figuring out like, if it's going to be a super complex image on the cookie, then I'm going to do a super, like a simple shape, like do that on a circle versus trying
Right.
to die cut the actual cookie, although I do that too. And then
Megan's head. It's a lot going on in there, girl.
I know. Um, and then just kind of like pull it together that way. But it's like a push and pull, right? Like I'll end up
Yeah.
with like 6 or 7 designs and be like, no, this is way too much. I need to pull out like just 3 of these and do like a couple simple cookies, or like, just do one lettered cookie instead of five.
But you love that font and you're really good at
Yeah. And the same
it.
goes for like the classes when I design a set. Sometimes I have to take like a step back and be like,
Right.
you only have 2 hours to teach this.
Right. Right. These people
Can
are going to
you
be with me
can you
all
do it?
week. Yeah. So talking about, let's back up just a little bit. When you were taking custom orders, like early on, did you have like a crazy customer story or somebody that was mean or, you know what I mean?
That's a good
Those
question.
disaster
I don't think
customers.
I've had any like cookie disasters, thankfully, but um, I definitely encountered like once I got a little bit more like notoriety within like the wedding industry, for example, and
Mm,
like event planners within Toronto. Um, I think a lot of, I'll say event planners can be very great to work with
mhm.
for like efficiency purposes. And like generally speaking, if an event planner comes to me, I can be pretty confident that like that's a client that is going to be okay with my rates. But on the
Right.
downside, the communication is always a little difficult because there's like an extra middleman to get your
Hmm.
approvals and answers and things like that. I
Yes.
had one event planner who I later learned like I knew other people that had worked with her
Hmm. Hmm.
and had similar experiences.
She was a delight.
But she came to me for her, it was like a law firm or something like that that was having their holiday party, and they were looking at getting like pretty intricate gingerbread houses for each table for their holiday party.
Mm,
And this is in like June. This
mm.
is like, that's fine. Like these people work ahead. I totally get
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but it's in June. And at the time, I was actually on the other side of the country traveling for work when she sent the email in. But like I always, even if I'm busy with work, tried to respond like within
Sure.
24, 48 hours. I had like an auto response on my email so that they knew to expect that. I responded to her within a day, being like, here's some base information. I am traveling right now for work, so like forgive me if I'm not immediately responding, but we'll get back to you as soon as I can. She responds being like, oh, that's totally fine. Like we've got lots of time. Don't worry
Right.
about like responding immediately. Um, she herself was responding probably like 24 to 48 hours. So like pretty
Right.
chill
Right.
expectations. Um, I remember that I was in the midst of a very stressful travel day. I had a meeting in Calgary out west, and I had about like from the time the meeting ended, half an hour to get to the airport, get on a plane, and get to Toronto for a site visit that I couldn't miss because her property, like the project I was working on, was going to open like a
Oh
few days
gosh.
later, and I had to like make sure that things
Right.
were good. So I'm like frantic. Um, and in my response prior to her, like 24 hours before that, I had said to her, which I do in every single email once it's gotten to this point, every single
Sure.
client,
Sure.
basically just saying, I would need to confirm quantity as soon as possible to know if I can actually take this order on because like I'm a one woman show. I can't feasibly make like
Yeah.
200 gingerbread houses if that's what you need. You haven't
Even
told me.
starting in June.
Yeah, you
Like,
haven't told me if it's five
right,
or
right, right.
500. And then also said at that point, to secure an order in my calendar, like I collect a 50% deposit.
Absolutely.
Um, it's just like a generic, like friendly comment that I
Yeah.
put at the bottom
Yeah.
of every email once it gets to that point. And
Sure.
then
Oh no.
she emailed me that morning, and then I had the crazy travel day. So I'm like, I will respond to her when I get back. She knows that I'm like not
Traveling. Yeah.
super accessible. And then I remember that night I got home and I checked my email and I had this scathing response from her, basically like being like, why, like, I can't understand why you would threaten me with like needing to like pay in order to secure your services when you can't be bothered to respond to me within like a certain amount of time, and then tried to go through and timestamp how long all of her responses have been, but also fudged it. And I
Oh.
was like, girl, like,
Girl,
no.
no
If you think
ma'am.
you're gonna like bully me,
Right?
like where did you think this was gonna go? Did you think I was gonna respond and be like, oh my God, so sorry, here's a discount? Like,
He's
did you think that I was ever gonna work with you after responding that way?
add 50 extra gingerbread houses to
Yeah.
your order. I got you. Yeah.
So
No.
I just was just like perfectly nice and polite in my response, but was like, unfortunately, I don't think I'm the right fit for you and your client.
Right.
And she
Right.
like never acknowledged me. And I was like, you know what? I hope that like your client knew who I was and was like, we need her, and you screwed them up.
I know, right? And then you start
Uh,
thinking all these different scenarios, like they're
yeah.
gonna know, they're gonna know.
And then I remember like when I was like with more like individual, not that like all brides are a problem. Like
Bridezillas,
I've had
right?
like many wonderful brides that I've worked with
Of
that just
course,
like
of course.
appreciated the art and what I did. But I had one that at the time I would still, when people inquired, I would give them a pricing guide. Cookiers don't do that. Don't, sorry, I should reiterate. Be upfront about your pricing so that they don't waste your time.
Right.
But don't give them any sort of pricing guide that is like open to interpretation.
Yes, absolutely not. Did she go back? I can
Because at that
only.
point it was like a two pager. It was like had that kind of standard, I think like Sweet Sugar Belle or Georgianne started it, the like square that has the
Yeah,
different sizes and then you like price in corresponding. So it was like something like that and then broke down like in a chart, like simple,
intricate.
intermediate, detailed,
Yeah.
elaborate, right? And then
Mhm.
a page of like
Examples for
imagery
each.
examples,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
customers can't look at the examples and understand that like, that cookie looks simpler, but it actually has 8 colors on it than the one that's like intermediate and
Mhm.
looks a bit more detailed, but it's only
Right.
2 colors, right? So
But
she
it's
ended
got
up,
4 layers. Like, yeah.
so when I gave her a quote, she ended up going through my pricing guide and picking it apart with screenshots and marking it up and then comparing it to like images on my Instagram and being like, well, how much did you charge for this? How much did you charge for this? How much did you charge for this? And I'm like,
That's too much time on your hands, sister.
yeah,
You
I'm
got to
like, no,
go. Mm-mm.
sorry. In the
No.
time you took to do all of this, I'm now booked.
Right. Now booked. Right. And so yeah, I understand. I don't, if you go anywhere on my anything, you cannot find pricing for anything.
Hmm.
Because I'm a firm believer of, my prices are based on my talent, not your budget.
100%.
And, I'm not everybody's, not everybody's my client,
Hmm.
because you can go to Walmart and find buy some of those really soft cookies with the icing on top.
Which are delicious.
Yes, for $2.99 a dozen. You do you, baby.
Yes,
You do. Okay, so another question is, so how do you like being a new mommy?
it's lovely. Although this week all she does is say da 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 da.
Is she really?
It's so funny, but it's so adorable. And I'm like, say mama. And she just laughs at me. She's like, ha ha
She
ha, da da
knows.
da 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 da.
Okay, so
My
she
husband
is she
loves it.
mobile yet? Is she mobile or can she sit?
She's getting there. She's like, you can tell she's at that point where she's just like so frustrated that her body's not doing what her brain wants to do yet.
Mhm.
Um, she's trying to stand like in the crib. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she just completely surpasses crawling and just starts standing. She's been like a very upright baby
Yeah,
whole time, like wanted like could support her weight while being held since she was like 3 months old.
yeah.
So she
She
just
might just
always
take
wants to
off.
be like
Oh, if you skip
holding
that
things
crawling
and
stage and just go straight to the walking.
I mean I wouldn't be upset about it if it means that I can prolong this stage where she's like,
Yeah, yeah, right.
can sit up by herself. I barely even need to put a pillow behind her now because she
You
is fine.
just
I do
switch
it
out
though
the
because
toys.
you know what? I have to do the pillow now because she expects it to be there. So she does this
Ah.
hilarious like slow lean back where she spreads her arms out and goes like this and she just like relaxes. So like I have to have the pillow there. She's gonna be like, ah.
She needs it now. It's a part of her routine. How
But
is
I
she with the cats?
she's great with them. She adores them. Like
Really?
nothing gets her squealing like Frankie walking by her. Like she
What
loves
Morty
them.
hollering? But is Morty which one hides?
Morty.
Morty hides.
He's
Okay.
hiding. That's him. That one.
But Morty's pretty vocal too.
Yeah, he's
I
something
think
else.
right. I think people that have taken your class have heard him, haven't they?
Yeah. He we he surprised us quite a bit and when we brought her home, he basically imprinted on her and became her protector to the point that like if she's been in the crib crying for like 2 minutes, he's up and down, like coming back to me, being like, Mom,
Somebody take care of this child.
like I'm sure if he could call like child services on me, he would have done it by now and just low me out. But like I cannot leave her for more than like 2 or 3 minutes before he just starts going like
That's crazy. That's crazy.
crazy. But what he's also learned is that her crying gets her attention. So
Yeah.
now he cries like a baby
I
and he wants
cannot. I want
attention.
to hear it so bad. Marty, Marty.
It's crazy. And so,
I bet. I
and
bet.
like we were always like, oh, this is hilarious. Didn't even cross my mind that like he might just do it out of nowhere.
Right. Right.
And he actually did it during one of my holiday classes. I heard him. I could hear because like our bedroom is like right above me here. So I could hear him jump down from the cat tree and pitter patter down the hall. And I started hearing the little like yowl that he started. And I'm like, no,
No.
stay up there, stay up there. And I was like hoping my husband could hear him and would like intercept, but like
Right.
he
Right.
had the baby and wasn't paying any attention. And I could hear it getting louder and louder as he came down the stairs. And then he proceeded to just like walk right up to me, circle my table as I'm working, doing it. And I had to be like, guys, that's not my baby crying.
Take care of that child, woman.
That's my cat.
Right.
So yeah, he still does it. And now he's also gotten very protective of
Right.
Nova. And we have our neighbor's cat will often come and visit
The window.
to visit the window and we had no idea he had this in him either, but he will literally scream like a banshee and puff himself up to like 2 times his size. The first time I heard it, I was like, is there like a dog dying in my backyard or something? So that's why he's camped out here. If she shows up, you might
Get a show.
get a show. It's
Okay,
it's actually
so
terrifying.
so does Frankie play with her or
Neither of them are really like playing with her yet, but
yeah.
Frankie, she's our diva. Like she was put out at first because she loves attention. She wants to be the center of attention.
Mm,
So she got very jealous, and just kind of kept her distance. But now she's like, now
she's a
that no,
man.
now that Nova's like interacting with her and kind of giving her attention, she's like, oh,
Notice
Right.
me. Yeah.
So yeah, she'll like she's our cat that like when people come over, she'll just like splay herself out and roll onto her stomach and be like, "Welcome to my home." So now she started doing that to Nova. Like when she's like sitting
That's
behind me
great.
on the carpet, Frankie will roll out and just be like, "Hi,"
I'm here. Pet me.
fawn over
Cats are
me.
cats are crazy. They really are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So Morty now has to be locked up during my classes because,
Bless it.
which was never an issue before. Like I remember in our previous apartment, it was Frankie that I'd have to lock up because otherwise
Right.
she'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Let me jump up on the island. What's this camera for? Like,
What
let's
is
look at."
that?
And Morty would just like sleep, but now I have to like protect my students and make sure that they are not exposed to this terror that he
God,
causes.
that's
Oh my
great.
goodness.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, so the raccoons. Let's talk about the
Good
raccoons.
segue into my other love.
Yeah. The trash fam.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, the raccoons and you have just become one.
I
And
had no idea this was going to become what it was.
right, okay, well, we just so that you know, we need more raccoons. We
I know.
need the trash fam
Yeah. I think
doing
it's just a
all
series
the
that has to
things.
be like continued now.
It does. It is. It's just you now. So I cannot wait to see. I know you asked a question recently about what should the next
Yeah.
raccoon be. And we're actually going to do a little something the after the interview with our patrons, and they're going to get kind of the get the jump on what the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have ideas.
raccoon the raccoon situation might look like. But it's just crazy how that kind of like came about.
Yeah, I
Um,
made that first one, the like Toronto um, montage for CookieCon 2020. It was the Home Sweet Home theme, and I was
yeah.
like, what am I gonna do for Toronto? Like, I guess I could do the CN Tower or like some sort of building, but I'm like, are people really gonna care about that? So yeah, I didn't know what to do, and then it literally came to me one day when I went to put the trash out, and the raccoon, our like resident raccoon, was sitting in there. And it's a thing also, like in Toronto, like
Right.
imagery. Like there's like Christmas ornaments that are like raccoons coming out of the Toronto trash bin. Um, and like we have like amazing Toronto artists that purely make like raccoon art and stuff like that. So I'm
Right,
like,
right.
oh, I'm like, you know what? This would be like something fun that people won't know about Toronto. And
Yes, had not.
well, oh yeah, we are like the raccoon capital of the world, I think. But and I remember as a kid going to like the zoo in the States, and I'm like, why are there raccoons here? Okay.
Okay, they're in my garbage can. Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so that one was very well received. I actually got like interviewed by our newspaper and a radio show here about it,
Right,
which was
right.
super fun. And then when we were trying to figure out new classes to do, so many people had been like, would you ever do one of the raccoons? I'm like, well, maybe we'll just do like one little one. So we did a cake with a little raccoon and a squirrel, like eating the cake and taking it apart, and people loved it. They just like ate it up. So then I was like, okay, I guess we gotta keep doing this. So I'd like sprinkle them in. So like our snow
More
globe Christmas class, there
raccoons.
was just like a
Yeah.
little raccoon sitting on the hill. And then we just did the garden critter one,
Ah,
which
those. Oh my
is
gosh.
every Torontonian with land's like
Nightmare.
worst nightmare. And it just happened. It is what it is.
Well, it was great. It's absolutely great. Um, I also wanted to talk to you about, well, I'm gonna have to edit this part out because it has totally left me. Oh no, no, it hasn't, and I'm not gonna edit it out. You and your love of bad weather, we share
Oh,
that.
we
Yes.
had a
Okay.
my opinion may have changed slightly on that
Really?
in the last week.
Oh no, what
It
do
hasn't.
tell.
No, it
Do
hasn't
tell.
overall. I have, since I was a kid, had like a fascination with like the science behind bad weather. I
Yes.
don't know where it came from, but I wanted to be a storm chaser, a tornado chaser when I was a
Right.
kid. Like it's a thing. Like I think my family to this day is surprised I didn't do that. I was just so like intrigued by it. As a
Yeah.
kid, I remember like my like seventh or eighth birthday, there was like a local Ontario couple that were storm chasers and they wrote a book. And there was like an event at our bookstore where they were selling the book and signing it. And like my parents and my brother like went to get it for me for my birthday when I was like 7 or 8.
Yes.
Uh, so
I
I
know.
just,
That's great. That's
yeah.
great. Good.
So I've just always been intrigued by it. I do not wish bad weather or like the destruction that it causes on anyone.
Right. I'm the same
It's
way. I like it, but
devastating.
there's something about going outside when it's like
Mhm.
you're like, oh gosh, right before a storm. I
Yeah.
just love it. I love it.
But I've always like loved thunderstorms and my it's funny, so the house I grew up in that my parents still live in, we have like a nice backyard and then it opens up to the schoolyard. So it always had this like vast openness. So every storm growing up, you could just watch coming in. Like there were no houses in the way, like
Right,
no
right,
trees. You could just see it coming in. And then strangely enough, the house that we bought last summer, it's the same setup. Like we have our backyard,
right,
more
right.
trees, but it opens up onto a soccer field. So again, I
You're
could like
loving
see all my
that,
storms coming
right?
in. So it's great, but and in Ontario, we do get pretty severe thunderstorms. Where I grew
Yeah,
up actually is just north of Michigan, and so we were technically part of Tornado Alley. So we would get like tornado warnings every summer. Have to
yeah.
round everyone up. All the pets go down to the basement. I'd always want to stay upstairs and be like, "Can I just see what's happening?"
Same, same.
Um, but yeah, we get like really fantastic lightning shows and thunderstorms here, especially because we're so close to the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
So they'll like come in off the lake and you can see these like giant walls of thunder coming at you. That's on Saturday. So this past weekend,
Yeah.
we in May we and June we always get like pockets of really hot, humid weather. Usually like that will come with a thunderstorm that will break it, and then we'll go back to our like
Yeah.
seasonal spring
Right.
weather. So that happened, or that was forecasted for Saturday. I knew it was coming. It was supposed to hit later in the afternoon, and I was going to have lunch with a friend.
Right.
Um, and it looked like it was going to be nice. So we're like, let's do Saturday instead of Sunday. So I took Nova with me, and we met up at a
Okay.
restaurant. We decided not to sit on the patio. We sat inside, but it had like one of those open walls that
Like a garage
yeah,
door
yeah, that
thing.
like went out to the patio. We were like 2 tables in,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden everyone's emergency alerts on their phones start going off saying like your tornado sirens
Yeah.
saying to
Yeah.
like take
Yeah.
cover and get inside. Like the TVs with the sports games running all have this like giant red band, and I was like, that's that's not common for us.
Right.
That's not common for us. So I was a little like taken aback, and like this first time I'm like out with her in a situation like this. So I was kind of, she's like
Yeah.
just this little tiny like 17-pound thing sitting in
Right.
a high chair beside me, just like do 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 do. And I'm looking outside and I'm like seeing the patio furniture start flying, and it was like a small window that like we could really see of what was happening, but um we had what was called a derecho, which is not a tornado, but it's tornado wind, like strength winds.
Really?
And instead of being like conical and circular, it's a line of consistent, like it was a full, when you looked at the radar, it was just a line of slow moving high winds and like torrential downpours. And so we could see that it was raining quite hard. It was very windy,
Right.
the power's flickering like crazy. And like in my head, I'm a little like uneasy, being like, I'm not in
Yeah.
my own home. I don't know, like,
Yeah,
if
I've got
this
the
turns into
baby.
something, what I do. We were right on the lake, and it's very, very uncommon for a tornado to develop like that close to water. So I'm like going through all my science in my head, being like, no, like I think we're probably okay, but like this is a little concerning. So I'm like scanning the restaurant, being like, okay, I know where the safe places are. Like
Look at you.
I can leave the stroller and just grab her if like I feel like
Right.
this is getting unsafe. So it ended up passing. And I truthfully don't think we got hit where I was as badly as
Some
we were
places
hit
do.
at home. So like my
Really?
husband called me being like, "Are you okay?" Because our neighborhood is not.
Oh no.
And I didn't really know what he meant until I like turned onto our street and there's like giant 60-foot trees down like across the road.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Is
I
was your home
Our
everything
home, our
okay?
home was fine, and as far as I can tell, the buildings and like the houses in our area were okay, but it hit all of Southern Ontario. There
Wow.
are like big cities that like 4 days later are still without power, that
Oh
were
my
just
gosh.
completely devastated. So we really didn't get hit all that hard in comparison to, I think it
Right.
really picked up momentum and power as it passed us. So now I'm like, I still love a thunderstorm, but now I'm like, everything hits a little different when, no pun intended,
We,
when you have kids.
it's the truth. It is the absolute truth. When you have kids, it's just like, okay, yeah,
Like
go.
especially like I just kept like being like, what if I had been home and like out for a walk? Like,
Yeah, right. And I think maybe being on the water, knowing like you and I, like being by the water probably helped in that
oh, 100%.
situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh,
So
girl.
that's my little
Well, I'm glad
personal story.
everybody's okay. Oh my
Mm.
gosh. Okay, so a question that we like to ask all of our guests is give me something, a piece of advice that you've gotten that you take with you. Doesn't have to be cookie related. It can be cookie related, but a piece of advice that you've gotten that you still use today.
Hmm. That's a good one. I think what I like live by, and this goes back to like my architecture days when I was working on like designing buildings or trying to like work on a deadline to get things done, is to like
Sure.
walk away when things are just not coming to you. I am like uh such I struggle with creative block all the time. Especially now that I have like a baby and like I don't have as much time to allocate to things, and I'm trying to like cram designing and working on cookies into like small amounts of time.
Right.
I try so hard to like get something to happen within this like hour pocket that I have, and it just like sometimes does not work. And the best
Right.
thing to do is just like drop it, come back to it later so that you are like way more efficient about it. And like
Right.
it happens all the time where I'll spend like 3 hours trying to design a class, and like it's just everything I put to paper is not working. It's not like inspiring me. It's like not at all what I
Right.
know I can do. And then
Right.
I'll leave it the next morning. I can like bang it out in 15 minutes and like be
Isn't that
totally
crazy?
happy with
Well,
it.
I'm glad to know that happens to you too, because on it's like there are people behind these cookies that go have the same struggles as everybody else, and what great advice to
Hmm.
just get up and walk away for a little while,
Hmm.
because like you said, some of your best work happens in the 15 minutes the next
Yeah.
morning after you. That's awesome.
I
That's
mean, same
awesome.
goes for like icing, I find. Like sometimes my icing is just like not working, and it's like the icing is having a day and needs a break.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to play the get to know you round. Okay, so I'm
Okay.
going to ask you a series of questions. Just answer what comes to mind first. You will be timed. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to start this timer or
Okay.
get it ready to start. And say timer. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, guilty pleasure food,
Oh, pizza,
book or movie,
movie,
iPhone or Android,
iPhone,
favorite vacation destination,
Italy,
cash or gifts,
gifts,
night owl or early riser,
night out,
spicy or sweet,
spicy,
fruit or veggies,
veggies,
digital planner or old school planner,
old school planner,
rom-com or action.
action,
Do you charge your phone at 80% or 8?
hate,
Cheetos or cheese puffs,
Cheetos,
Little Debbie or Hostess,
hostess,
fruit candy or chocolate,
chalk,
cardio or resistance,
resistance,
royal icing or buttercream,
royal icing,
fondant or isomalt,
fondant,
airbrush or scraping,
scraping,
macarons or drop cookies,
drop cookies,
florals or wet on wet.
florals,
Last show you binge watched.
Ozark,
Would you rather lose your keys or your cell phone?
cell phone,
Be too hot or be too cold?
too cold.
111. Nicely done. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Give that baby a hug and those
I
cats a
will.
rub. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Megan, thank you so much for stopping by. It was a true delight. And for those of you that are patrons, any and all tiers are going to get the after the interview talk with me, Megan, and Allison. You don't want to miss it. Also, would love to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to Sam from Sam's Cooking University. Thank you to Heather and Corey from the Sugar Marketing Group. Thank you to Shelley from Pastry Shells. Thank you to Courtney from the Royal Batch. And thank you to Lisa He from Borderlands Bakeries. I'll see you guys next time.